Hi, everybody, and welcome to Straight Up with Simran. We have a very special guest today here with us, and we were just on his podcast, and it was really fantastic because we said some things that we've never said before, and I have to really thank him for bringing that out. And so here we have Rupen Paul with us on Straight Up with Simran. Thank you, Rupen.
Thanks, Simran, for having me on this show.
Well, you have so many interesting things to say, Rupen, that I had to invite you.
I'm so happy to be here.
So, what ticked it off and why I actually thought that we would make a great conversation out of your experience that you recently had with this young lady that was there in your audience when you were doing a stand-up comedy show.
Yeah, so I think I was doing a show a couple of weeks ago, and it was an open mic. So an open mic is basically a place where you try jokes. The audience is very limited. Okay, and it's also a good thing because you can actually speak with the audience. So it's almost like your friends listening to you, right? And I asked this girl at a show, right? And I said, like, if there was a man, right, doing a joke about a woman and it's just for the intention of just being a joke, he doesn't mean any of it, would you take offense? And she said, yeah, because you don't know where he's coming from. And then she followed it up by, I'm kind of done with all men. And she just straight up, she said, I'm kind of done with all men. And obviously she looked younger than me. So I said, like, how old are you?
Yeah.
And she said, I'm 24. And I said, so how are you going to deal the rest of your life, right, when you're done with men already, right? So, because there's obviously going to be guys who like you, and it's going to be so hard for them because you're done with them, right? Before they even started, right? So, I got me thinking into a lot of what is happening right now, like, because when you get into a relationship, like a lot of men do not even know like what their role is in that relationship. Is it just for the sake of, being a companion with that person? Because obviously, the older roles that were there for men, right? Like in our parents' generation, like the dad was a provider, the mom was a caretaker and caregiver, right? And now it's all changed because men and women kind of make the same amount of money. True. So why? And I think a lot of men don't know what they're getting into and what role they're going to fit into a relationship. And I think it's also fair to say a lot of women do not know what to expect from a man in a relationship. So how would you shed some light on that, on what women need in a relationship? Today's day and age, after speaking to the number of people that you have spoken to,
right.
And what do you think is the role that men want to fulfill in a relationship from the number of single men that you have spoken to?
Well, the foremost thing I want to do right now is to congratulate you for that observation, because as a society we have really evolved, and what you're saying is very true in these times, and women have been, for at least 3-4 decades, we've been really fighting to get the gender equality in place. And we've made a lot of progress in these years, which is great, But I don't think we're there yet, but at least we're like moving towards it. So that's a good part. But what needs to come out in romantic relationships and a relationship between a man and a woman is now the strength that each gender brings as that gender. And let me explain that a little more. For example, men are problem solvers, linear thinkers, by and large. Of course, there's a yin and yang in all of us.
What do you mean by a linear thinker? Very interesting.
See, men approach things in a very linear way. This, so this, so this. And they're not really thinking 360 degrees normally. How a woman thinks is, and I'll give you an example from a date. For example, a guy goes for a date, and tell me if I'm wrong. He either has a great date, he has a weird date, or he has a bad date. A woman goes to a date, she has a good date. She has what kind of a date was it? I'm going to analyze it. What did I do in this date? Did I behave like this? Is there a maybe in there? Like, maybe this guy I really like this guy, but maybe he was not into it because he was thinking about his work, or he was thinking about some other problem that he has. So the woman will give a lot of explanation to things, and men just go cut. They're not going to think, was this woman stressed with work? Why was she like talking so much about the infrastructure? Was she really like bothered? He's not going to give an explanation to why. He's going to just take it as, hey, I didn't like it, or I really liked it and I want to pursue this woman. He's not thinking why, but a woman is always thinking why. And that's the difference. And that's true about our genders, and that's why it's also said women are very good at multitasking. multitasking because they think in a very different way. We are wired differently, and I mean, it's really visible, right? Yeah. Even biologically, men are made differently, women are made differently. There is a reason why that is there, because we are different people. So I think we need to embrace that when it comes to romantic relationships, and that is what will see us through this, because the right that we demand as women is our right, because we're equally intelligent, we're equally capable of doing any job, and we're equally capable of working in our ecosystem as well with who we are. You know, that is the beauty of being a woman, I think, and I think a lot of men appreciate that. But that is not coming out so much in media. You know, the modern couple is really an equal couple when it comes to roles and responsibilities. Yet, to keep the romance alive, they also are appreciating the differences that each gender brings, because that is what is attractive. You know, opposites attract. If both genders were similar, romance is difficult to happen. But whereas in the boardroom, it's very easy, right? I mean, to tide through a situation of work, I mean, there's no romance involved over there. It's very cutthroat. It's very, So
if a person has to say something along the lines of, no, you don't understand, and this is how aggressive I am, this is how aggressive I am in the boardroom, then the logical comeback to that is, but this is not a boardroom.
Exactly.
You're not in love with anyone, and you're over a round table discussing office policy or strategy, right?
Exactly. And that is the seed that we need to plant in our heads, that romantic relationships have to have that gender difference for it to really form and collaborate, because relationships are collaboration. They're not that I'm competing with you, I'm versus you, I have to be one up on you. You tell me any relationship that can last. You know, we all have friends. If our friends get competitive, those relationships really end, right?
Right. So would you say like the need, like the way to resolve this is like kind of to ask yourself the question probably, like as a man or as a woman who's getting the relationship, like what do you need out of a relationship? Or what do you need a man for? Or what do you need a woman for?
And that's true. And interestingly, we just did a survey where we asked men what they were finding attractive in a woman. And we asked the women the same question, what they find attractive in a man. And 95%, both men and women, liked ambition in their partner, career orientation in their partner. So I think men have also don't have a expectation that they will get a woman who is not going to be passionate about her career or not have a purpose in life. They really want that. But I don't think that's being communicated because of the way they have been raised. The next generation will not have that problem because, they just have a different role model available to them, and which this generation doesn't. So they won't have that problem. So, but what is beautiful is that men and women want the same thing out of each other. They want a companion. They're not looking for a economic breadwinner provider kind of a situation. They're equal. They're independent. So they're looking for companionship. They're looking for physical intimacy with each other, because that is also a basic human condition, right? Both of them, physical satisfaction and intimacy, and companionship. So you asked me before we started the shoot that does this mean, like, is it like the end of relationships because there's so much competition and independence? The answer is no, and that is a very good news, because I think that once we are aware that, hey, we have to be collaborative and really portray our strengths that we have as genders and bring that as the bedrock of a relationship, it will be a much powerful relationship than our previous generation had, because it is of equality. It is of what it should be. So I'm really working towards creating that awareness in people so that they can have the beautiful relationship that they want, because my generation is mostly urban Indian women who are working, are in that relationship already. I don't have to worry about am I going to look after the house? My husband orders the grocery. My husband makes the morning tiffin box for my daughter and breakfast for me, because I'm not a morning person. So we figured out what role each has to play, and I think it's beautiful because I feel equally empowered in this relationship, and I feel equally respected and loved for who I am.
Right. And I think it's also a good thing, because then you actually put in like a more sincere effort into the relationship, right? As opposed to just using a role that's been handed down to you from the previous generation. So now, not only are you in a relationship with someone trying to figure out the other person and trying to figure out how you fit in the other person's life, but you're also trying to figure out what makes your relationship unique.
Absolutely.
So
And
you're putting a much stronger effort to make that work.
And we can be who we are, which is like the most important thing for all of us, right? So that, I think it's a beautiful time, actually.
That is good news.
Yeah. So anything else you want to add to this, Rupen?
No, it was just the only thing that I was thinking of.
Well, I'm glad that we had this chat, and I'm glad that we brought this about, because we really need to create this awareness more and more, and I'm happy that we did that, and I hope people see this video, they think about it, they internalize it, and it makes a difference in their lives, and it makes them get into the relationship they deserve.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on this show. Thanks a lot.